Hi, Candace Terry here, and I am here to go over the tuition benefits for the CIC and TE tuition exchange programs. So, what exactly are they, you ask? The CIC, or Council of Independent Colleges, and Tuition Exchange, or TEP as we call it internally, are associations of nonprofit independent colleges and universities. Basically, these are groups of institutions who are members of this group and agree to import and export a certain amount of students each year from within these participating institutions. This employee benefit provides free tuition for those who qualify and are accepted to the chosen importing institution. So please keep that in mind. There is no guarantee that your dependent child will actually receive this benefit from the importing institution. So, who qualifies? Well, dependent students of active, permanent, full time employees. That means you have to work here at a full time status in order to be eligible to enroll your dependent into this benefit. So, parent applicants for the TE program only must have completed 2 years of service as a full time employee at the time of application. The reason that this applies to the TE program only is because the TE program has limits set on how many imports and exports each institution is allowed to accept and export each year. So that limit is three. We usually get a lot more than three applications for the TE program. So that is why we put that 2 year limitation on there to make it a little bit more competitive and to provide those slots for employees who have been with the institution a little longer. There are no such limits on the CIC program. Dependents are defined as children under the age of 26. They cannot be married, they're not a veteran, and they do not have any children for whom the employee provides more than 50% of support. This is very important. This is exactly how we define dependents for internal tuition benefits as well as insurance benefits. So we just keep that all consistent. The application must be for a full academic year. So if your dependent child wants to go to another school just for summer courses or something like that, then that's not applicable. And those are rules of both of the programs. The student must be enrolled at a full-time status. So again, they cannot be there for one class over the summer or at a part-time status. And this applies to undergraduate tuition only. So most institutions do not offer graduate tuition. However, because how we define our dependent students or dependent eligibility, this is for undergraduate tuition only. And finally, just as a reminder, this benefit is not available to employees and our spouses. So employees and spouses have very good tuition benefits within Lindenwood University. And so we encourage you to take advantage of that if you and or your spouse are interested in going to school. A couple things that you need to know. This is an extremely competitive benefit and it is not guaranteed. So let's just say you have not been here for 2 or more years and you want to fill out an application for the CIC program. I can send out 200 CIC applications. There's no guarantee that the importing institution is going to grant your dependent that benefit. So, where the TE program has a limit, a cap, I should say, of 3 in, 3 out, we also put caps on the CIC program. So we can put as many applications out as we want to, but Lindenwood caps our imports at 5 every year. And that's so we're not giving away free tuition to everybody. Many other institutions implement similar guidelines. However, what makes this very difficult on the end user side, i.e., the parents, is that every school gets to make up their own rules and definitions for what they take. So every school is different on that, and it's never a guarantee. There are only a certain amount of spots available each academic year. Employees who wish to apply for this benefit are required to attend a seminar So by listening to this recording, you have fulfilled that obligation. All applications must be submitted to me between October 1st and December 15th. We don't accept applications at any other time. Late applications will not be considered under any circumstances. Again, this is a very competitive benefit, and we like to give people the opportunity to have as much time as possible to either enroll or our imports who are applying to come to Lindenwood. We want to make sure that we give them as much time as possible so they can make their final decisions. Employees must meet the employment requirements at the time of application. Again, that means you're a full-time employee, and for the TE program, you've been here for 2 or more years at a full-time status. This is very important. If you, the employee, leaves the university for any reason, the importing school will be immediately notified and the benefit will automatically end on the last day of employment. So this is not a Lindenwood rule. This is an obligation and a rule of both of these programs. So they require me to report that, provide proof of that, and then that benefit will cease immediately. A little bit of the application process. So for both the CIC and TE, candidates are required to provide high school transcripts and birth and/or marriage certificates. For the TE only, a short essay is required from the student describing what qualifies them to be selected for this benefit. And that is because of the application limit that we have every year. So we use that if I get more than 3 applications, which I always do, we use that to rank all of our applicants. And that way, if somebody isn't awarded any of their schools, we can go to the next person and so on. For TE only, again, with those essays, a committee is formed annually, and candidates will be considered based upon criteria such as grades, the written assessment, and the quality of the application. It is a blind committee, meaning nobody on the committee other than myself, and I'll just be distributing, will know whose application is whose. I just distribute it, they vote and agree, and then we go from there. For the TE only, again, I just kind of went over that. They'll be ranked in the event that a chosen candidate is not accepted to the institution of choice. And all candidates will be notified by January 15th for the TE. So that is the final deadline. We ask that you send your applications to us by December 15th as the cutoff, and then we let everybody know by January 15th. The reason we have it set up that way, again, is so that you have time to make plans and arrangements. Dependents of employees who have already received this benefit will be considered after all other candidates, as there is a maximum of 3 students each year who are eligible to receive this benefit. So again, this applies to the TE only. There's a lot of stipulations on the TE, and that's because it's such a short window, and there's not a lot of room for flexibility on this. And so we try to give as many people as possible the opportunity to utilize this benefit. The Lindenwood application, this can be found online in Workday, and you are basically just providing me a little bit of additional information that we might not have in Workday. Reason being is I might not have, if your dependent is not on our insurance, I'm not going to have their name, their date of birth, some contact information, things like that. I will need all of that information in order to enroll your dependents into the application process for either the CE or TIT, and that's why we ask that. On the second page of the application, you'll see an attachments requirement, which is basically proof that that dependent does in fact belong to you, transcripts, and then the written assessment. Now that written assessment only applies to the TE program, and if you have any questions, please feel free to email me. A few of the guidelines. So no matter which institution or which program you're applying through, and the difference, by the way, is that there are just different schools who are part of the CIC as opposed to the TE. So some schools are part of both. In that case, we will move your dependents application to the CIC to try to open up more room in that TE application process. But no matter which one they're in, these are the rules as far as both programs are considered. So students must maintain good academic and social standing and satisfactory academic progress. If they do not, for some reason, and they're not excused, the importing institution has every right to deny a renewal of that application the following year and or the following semester. Students are responsible for all non-tuition expenses, such as room, board, and fees. Again, this program only covers tuition. So it's just as if they were going to school here at Lindenwood. They would receive free tuition and they would be responsible for any room, board, and fees. Student applicants must be admissible at the host or importing institution in accordance with regular institutional admission standards and must comply with all of the host and importing institution's financial aid policies and procedures. The best way to get this information and ensure that you're adhering to all of that is to work with your child's admissions representative. I actually don't have any information as far as this whole process is concerned. I am literally just the liaison and an objective party. Therefore, I purposely am not supposed to have any of that information. This is literally, it will be between you and the host institution on all of those standards, what they require, their admittance, everything like that. And students are eligible for this benefit for a total of 8 semesters. So if he or she takes 5 years to graduate, which is perfectly okay, the benefit will actually only stretch for the first 4 years. So just keep that in mind as you go forward. Each institution is unique and has different procedures for processing applications. That being said, I do not have any information or insight into other institutions' processes and procedures. Some institutions do not make their final decisions until late spring. So right now we are, it's September 8th, 2020. I would say about a month ago, I finally got a decision on an application for the 2020-2021 school year that somebody submitted last fall. So they can really take their time on this. Some schools are better at communicating than others, but we cannot force them to make a decision. You are encouraged to apply to several institutions if your dependent is awarded the benefit. That really mostly applies to the TE, but I do encourage you to apply to as many institutions as you can, because again, there are limits to how many students they're going to take in for this benefit. Please realize that I don't have any insight into other institutions' processes and procedures. I get questions all the time. Well, where is my kid in the application process? I have no insight into that. That is for you and your child to work out with their admissions representative from the importing institution. As soon as I'm notified, you and your dependent are notified. That's why I need that email communication from your child. So when they either approve or deny an application, they will send both myself and the student a notification saying, hey, this has been approved or denied. And so I'm notified at the exact same time that they are. You should work directly with your dependent's admissions representative at the importing institution for information beyond Lindenwood's application process. Again, every institution is different and has different processes and procedures. Some are first come, first serve. Some have a little bit more of an in-depth process like Lindenwood does. And again, almost all of them have caps on how many students they import and export. Recertification. So dependents who are approved for the TE or CIC benefits and admitted to the importing institution must reapply for the benefit each year. So what that means for you internally, I don't need anything from you internally. I wait until the spring and then I recertify them for the following fall. So it's literally just me going in there and saying, yes, the employee is still a full-time employee, and therefore their dependent is still eligible for the grant. However, again, if you do cease to stop working here for any reason, then we go in and have to notify them right away. So there's really nothing that you have to do on your end. A lot of times I've had, for some reason, the grant not get applied to a student's financial aid at the importing institution, and it's typically the result of a communication between the student and the financial aid office. So supplemental documentation is not required internally for recertification. Again, the importing institution may have requirements that you'll want to double check on. And then they must remain in good standing with the importing institution in order to maintain this benefit for the duration of the degree program. We have had a few importing students on the CIC and TE programs who were awarded, but they did not receive it all 4 years because they did not maintain good academic standing. We really want to reward those students who really want to be here and work hard with that experience. And then importing institutions must approve the student each year. So that goes back to exactly what I was just saying. So just keep that in mind. If you have any questions regarding the CIC or TE programs, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. It's cterry@lindenwood.edu. Otherwise, I look forward to receiving your applications in the next few weeks. Thank you.